My stepson handed me some computer game today on his app and said, you know, you can build a rocket just by dragging and dropping. And everybody at the table did it, and then you launch it. Everybody's rocket went at least like 9 meters or more. Mine blew up on the launch pad.
Hi, and welcome to a special episode of Tea with Teachers. I'm here today with Audra McDonald, Tony, Emmy, and Grammy award-winning actress and singer.
Hello.
So, as a working woman, you're a wife, and you're a mom of 4, how do you manage to balance work and life?
I still haven't figured that out, Talia. That's the truth. I mean, all I know is that I'm very driven. I'm very motivated to continue to work on my career, and I'm very motivated to be the best mother that I possibly can be. So every day it's just about putting one foot in front of the other and figuring out how I'm going to work out the day, knowing what my priorities are, and that is to do good work and be there for my kids.
That's great. What are your impressions of MIT?
I guess I had sort of like a myopic idea that these, they would all just be all heads in books and, whatever, and just, brainiacs who aren't looking up, running into walls because they're too busy studying everything. But you guys are so vivacious and so full of life and so curious about everything, and you seem to be doing it from such a place of wonder and joy. And so my hope for you guys is that you will always hold on to that.
We are at MIT, so I will ask you a little bit about homework.
Oh.
So what kind of homework do you do when you're preparing for a role or a performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way as if you were to research, for any of the projects that you guys have to research. Like when I was doing Billie Holiday, I listened to almost every album that she ever made. I interviewed anyone that I could that was alive that knew her. When you're playing a character, you have to know everything that you possibly can about that character so that you can inhabit them in the most sort of organic way.
What was your first major role, and how did you get it?
What do you consider major? Like something that I got paid for, or just my first big role?
What was major to you?
I think the first role that I got that was major to me was I played Reno Sweeney as a freshman in Anything Goes at my performing arts high school that I went to, and it was very scandalous because some freshman got the lead role when it should have been a senior. They let a freshman get the role.
Do you have a favorite role?
I don't. People ask me that, and I really don't, because I feel like the roles, you get so intimate with a role. They're like your children. You're very intimate with them, and they're special to you for different reasons at different times. So I can't really pick one that's a favorite.
Yeah.
I've loved them all for different reasons.
What is your advice for people who want to pursue a career that seems kind of risky, like music or acting?
Yeah. What's my advice? My advice is follow your heart. There is the old adage that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that's only partly true because there are some days that it does feel like work. Just be willing to put in the work. So don't go into it because you want to be famous. If you're going into music or the arts as a career, go into it because you love it. Because there are days that it'll be a feast, and then there are just as many and sometimes even more days where it's famine. So you better make sure you love what you do.
This is more of a personal question, but when you were at Juilliard, I know that you suffered from depression. Would you mind telling me kind of how you got past that, and what advice you would have for students at MIT and at other schools who are just kind of
overwhelmed?
Exactly.
No, I'm very open about what happened at Juilliard. I tried to kill myself when I was there, and I was I asked for help. And my student director advisor took me, and they put me in a mental hospital, which is where I stayed for a month and got the help that I needed. I let myself get really overwhelmed, and I don't blame myself for that, but I didn't ask for help. So what I would say to any student is, first of all, it's not your fault. And especially in high pressure schools like MIT and Juilliard, conservatory situations, or any, whatever it is, reach out and ask for help. If it means that, you go to whatever sort of mental health services they have for you within the school, or talk to a friend, or if if you're religious and you belong to some sort of house of worship, ask for help. There's nothing wrong with needing help, but ask for it. Yeah.
So I guess now we're going to transition to some lighter questions. So these are kind of rapid fire questions.
Okay. Oh God, this feels like a test.
It's not a test, don't worry.
Okay.
Do you have any daily rituals?
Eating.
Okay, that works. What are some traditions or superstitions you practice?
Ooh, the typical theater ones. You do not whistle in a theater. You do not say the Scottish play in a theater unless you are doing the Scottish play. Another one is I don't like to visit with people who are attending a performance I'm doing. I do not like to visit with them before the show. I stay on my own and very quiet so that when I get out there, I've centered myself and I can be open and present in the moment. And I feel like you can't do that if you're giving away all your energy beforehand.
Given the choice of anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would you want to have as a dinner guest?
Only one person?
You can choose more.
Okay, I would choose, it would be like a super boozy dinner, but I would choose Billie Holiday and Judy Garland.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I would be the one just trying to pick everybody up at the end of the night, but that would be an amazing dinner party.
How do you relax?
When I'm driving home from the studio, from the set or something like that, I'm an open book, so I admit stuff, but I listen to Forensics Files on the radio. It's a TV show that will play on the radio if you have Sirius XM. Look at me, just plugging things. It's all these murders that were solved by forensics. It's a bit macabre, but for some reason I find it fascinating. I find the stories of how they solve all these things fascinating.
So this is kind of a fun one, but if you were an MIT student, what major would you want to be?
Oh my God, I can't even answer that question because it would never in a million years happen.
Nothing? Okay, it's cool.
Could I study forensic science? And I mean, so that I could solve.
We also have archaeology.
Oh, archaeology.
Okay, there we go.
Because I could travel to places and do digs and stuff. Yeah. Okay, archaeology.
If you had a warning label, what would it say?
Talks too much.
Okay. I know that you're super passionate about LGBTQ rights. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about your work in that field?
I've grown up in the theater, and a lot of my close friends, a lot of people in my family are LGBTQ, and I was pretty vocal in the fight for marriage equality, not only within the country, but within our state actually as well. And I also work closely with LGBTQ homeless youth as well in my work at the Covenant. I'm on the board of directors of the Covenant House, which is a homeless shelter for youth all across the country and in Canada. So we try and be a soft landing place for them.
My last question is the question that I ask to all of the guests on Tea with Teachers, and it's if you could give any piece of wisdom to MIT students or just students in general, what would it be?
This is what's flying into my head right now, so I'm going to trust my gut. What's unique about how you will impact whatever field you go into is you, what you bring that's unique about yourself. And so the Sondheim quote I then would say would be, anything you do, let it come from you, then it will be new, give us more to see.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Tea with Teachers. If you like what you saw, subscribe and watch more videos here. Follow us on social media here. If you have suggestions for questions or professors, let us know down in the comments below. Have a great week.